My name's Araya, and this is part 2 of my Affixing Tutorial Series for PSO2. In the previous episode, we went over the very basics of what affixing is, what the rules are for it, and what the general process is for affixing abilities onto a weapon or unit. In this video, I'm going to go over an external tool that you can use to help you learn how to affix and also be able to use later on when you're trying to plan out actual affixing recipes. This tool is called Affix Assistant. Now, I'm going to find it by searching for it on Google, but I'll also put down links in the description if you need them. Right here at the top, I'm going to open this in a second tab, and I'm also going to scroll down real quick and click on this Reddit page and open this. So the first one I opened is Affix Assistant. This is just the standard normal PSO2 Affix Assistant. Now, if we go to the other one, you'll see that it says Global Translations. So this one right here is actually for the JP release of the game, and the JP release of the game has some abilities that we don't currently have in global. So this version over here will actually translate any of the abilities that have different names and will also gray out abilities that we don't have yet. I'm going to put links to both of these in the description, and from now on I'm probably going to be using the global translation version. Normally the first thing you do in Affix Assistant is you click the plus icon over here in order to create an affixing goal. An affixing goal is basically just which abilities do you want to have on your main weapon once you're done affixing. On the right over here, you'll see a list of abilities that are in the game, and you can click on one in order to add it to your goal. You can also click up here to sort this by the amount of stats they give you for melee power, range power, tech power, PP, HP, and dex. If you see an ability that's grayed out, that means that the ability is not currently in the global release of the game. However, you can still click on it in order to preview the stats it would give you, as well as plan ahead for affixing it later on. Now for this recipe, we're going to make a 6-slot weapon using really simple abilities that we've seen before. So let's add Precision 1, Casting 1, Deftness 1, Toughness 1, and Reflex 1. On the left over here, you'll see a preview of the stats that are going to be added to our weapon. Once you're done, you want to click the Affix button. To the left of this is the Transfer button. We're not going to get into this until later. So we click Affix. Once you're in here, it's going to give you this new window, and the main thing you want to pay attention to is the bottom right here. This is going to show you each ability that you chose for your goal weapon, and it's going to give you a list of options of how you can get this affix onto your main weapon. This top option here basically just means we have Might 1 on either our main weapon or one of our fodder weapons, and that's how we're going to get it onto our main weapon. The bottom option here means we're going to need another ability called an Attack Receptor as well as Might 1 in order to get it onto our main weapon. Now, I haven't gone over what receptor abilities are yet, so we're not going to pay any attention to this. So we're just going to fix this the one way that we currently know how to, which is going to be the top options here. Now, before we click confirm, you're going to notice that it says we have a 55% chance for these abilities. Now, since these are really simple abilities, these should be 100%, just like they were in the previous video. The reason why they're 55% is actually because if you look up here, we have Affix by upslotting checked. In the previous video, I briefly went over upslotting and mentioned that upslotting is when you affix one more ability onto your main weapon than it currently has on it. And when you do upslot a weapon, this actually decreases the success chance of all the abilities that you're affixing. So the reason why this is 55% is because we're currently telling it to upslot this weapon. After we uncheck this box, it becomes 100% like we were expecting. Click confirm, and we're going to have a new window. Now, if you watched the previous video, you'll remember that one of the main points I wanted to go across was that the process of affixing abilities requires you to select a main weapon to put the abilities onto, and between 1 and 5 fodder weapons that'll be destroyed, but allow you to use the abilities on them to affix as well. So what this window is actually asking us to do is to plan out which fodder is going to have which abilities on it when we do that affix. So for instance, let's take our main weapon over here, and let's say that for some reason it already has Casting 1 and Toughness 1. If this is the case, you'll see that this fodder 3 is now full of junk, which means we're actually not going to end up needing it. Instead, all we're going to need is our main weapon that already has these two abilities on it, one weapon that has Reflex 1, one weapon that has Deftness 1, one weapon that has Precision 1, and one weapon that has Might 1. Now, if we click confirm here, you'll see that it condensed it, so now we only have fodder 1 through 4, as well as our main fodder here. So what these two nodes are saying is that by having a main weapon that has Toughness 1 and Casting 1, and using these 4 weapons as fodder that have these abilities, we will be able to affix these abilities onto our main weapon at this % chance. We have a 100% chance for all of these abilities. At the bottom, it actually tells you the total chance of success is 100%. Now, if you somehow made a mistake while selecting where your abilities were going to be on your fodder, you can always click Reaffix, and it'll take you back to this screen, where you can reselect everything, and it brings you back to the same menu, but I'm just going to click Cancel and leave it the way we had it. Now, what's really nice about Affix Assistant is that not only can you plan out the final product of your Affix recipe, but you can also plan out the Affix recipes for each piece of your fodder as well. For instance, let's say that we didn't actually have Toughness 1 or Casting 1 on this weapon. Now, technically you could move Toughness 1 and Casting 1 onto another fodder. Instead, we're just going to try and affix Toughness 1 and Casting 1 onto our main weapon before we do the final affix. And in order to do that, you just click Affix It right here. This is going to give us the same window we saw before, so we click the top options, click Confirm, and our main fodder is full of junk, and we have one fodder with Toughness 1 and one fodder with Casting 1. Click Confirm, and this is going to give us a recipe that's going to allow us to create our main fodder, which is right here, by affixing it with one weapon that has Casting 1 and one weapon that has Toughness 1. If we look back over at main fodder, you'll see that it has the percent chance of success just like the goal does. Now, this video is just an introduction to Affix Assistant. As I introduce new topics about affixing, we'll learn more about them in Affix Assistant as well. Later on, I may make a video that encapsulates everything in Affix Assistant about affixing, but that video will probably assume that you know everything about affixing that I'm going to teach in this series. So before we end this introduction to Affix Assistant, we're going to go through a few more of the options on the left here. The first one allows you to see which fodders you're going to need. If we click on this is basically saying that we're going to need weapons that are 6 slots, and each one of them needs to have one of these abilities on it. I don't normally go through this menu, but in case you need it, here it is. Below that is View Affixing Formula Sheet. We're not going to get into this right now, but in case you're wondering what this is, it basically allows you to see how do we create some of these more advanced abilities. For instance, Might 3 is going to show you multiple ways of making this ability, but is also going to show you what kinds of abilities you're able to make using Might 3 as well. And the one right here is something I do want to go over. This allows you to copy and paste a link to the recipe that you made and share it with somebody you know. Then you have your settings menu. This allows you to change the language or the theme. The button below that allows you to report bugs. And the button below that will allow you to center your screen on your affixing goal in case you somehow manage to get off screen like this. Anyway though, that's the end of the introduction to Affix Assistant. The episodes following this one will build upon the introduction to affixing as well as the introduction to Affix Assistant as we introduce new topics about affixing. If you enjoy my videos and you want to see more, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.